This is Saudi Arabia in the Middle East, a country famous for its oil resources. However, this vast land is dry all year round, with deserts and rocky terrain occupying most of the country, and agricultural development has long been restricted by severe natural conditions. There are no natural rivers with water all year round, and there is an extreme lack of arable land. This place is almost considered an agricultural forbidden zone. But now, an unprecedented desert agriculture plan is quietly kicking off. At the China-Saudi Arabia Agricultural Development Forum on May 13th this year, the two teams signed an agricultural cooperation agreement of more than $4 billion. As far as I know, the content cooperation agreements exceed more than 70, including desert agricultural development, deep processing of agricultural products, smart agricultural research and development, and other fields. But the problem is that Saudi Arabia has a land area of 2.25 million square kilometers, and the rainfall throughout the year is less than 200 millimeters. So, how will China help this oil country complete an unprecedented desert agricultural revolution? If you like our video content, please click to subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you can receive all our latest video content. Now, let's get into today's topic. In the Middle East, there's a country that is famous for its black gold, Saudi Arabia. With its amazing oil reserves, it has become one of the richest countries in the world. As early as 2019, according to an audit by an international authority, Saudi Arabia's crude oil reserves reached 268.5 billion barrels, ranking second in the world, accounting for 18.1%. In recent years, American experts have even estimated that Saudi Arabia may have up to 355 billion tons of oil reserves. However, this country, which has always been rich in oil, is stumped by a seemingly simple problem: water shortage. As far as I know, there is not even a decent river in this country with an area of 2.25 million square kilometers. Desert covers most of the country. The daytime temperature in summer can easily soar to 45 degrees Celsius and even exceed 50 degrees Celsius. In such a harsh natural environment, the temperature in Saudi Arabia is so high that eggs can be directly roasted on the ground. Moreover, in 365 days a year, the annual precipitation in this country does not even reach 200 millimeters, which seriously restricts the development of Saudi agriculture. At present, Saudi Arabia has about 3.5 million hectares of arable land, but this only accounts for about 1.6% of the total land area. Moreover, the land available for cultivation is extremely limited. In fact, in order to solve the problem of food self-sufficiency, Saudi Arabia has been making efforts in the past few decades. Since the 1970s, the Saudi government has allocated idle wasteland to individuals and enterprises for free. Individuals can get up to 1,500 acres, and enterprises can get up to 6,000 acres. At that time, Saudi Arabia also promised that as long as a quarter of it was reclaimed within 5 years, the entire land would belong to the applicant. In order to relieve the economic pressure of farmers, the government provided interest-free loans to all of them and provided a 50% subsidy on the landed price of fertilizers and agricultural machinery imported by farmers, and a full subsidy on pesticides. In order to further encourage farmers to cultivate wasteland, the Saudi government provided farmers with more than $400 in agricultural subsidies for every hectare of wheat they planted. But we all know that the most indispensable thing for developing agriculture is water resources. So in 1978, Saudi Arabia built the first modern desalination plant in Jeddah on the Red Sea coast. By 1980, the country had built more than 30 desalination plants, providing 2.16 million cubic meters of fresh water per day, which greatly alleviated the water pressure for agricultural irrigation. With the strong support of the government, a large number of Saudi farmers actively engaged in agricultural production. According to the information I have read, Saudi Arabia's arable land area increased rapidly from 1.4 million hectares in 1971 to 3.67 million hectares in 1993. Grain production also continued to rise, from less than 40,000 tons in 1972 to a peak of 4.12 million tons in 1992. Saudi Arabia even became the world's sixth largest wheat producer for a time. But then problems followed. Since the production of crops is highly dependent on water sources, and there are no major rivers in Saudi Arabia, the main water source comes from more than 500 billion cubic meters of groundwater. These underground aquifers have not been replenished since the last ice age, but they were quickly extracted and consumed in a short period of time and were almost exhausted. At the same time, the high cost of agriculture continues to devour resources like a bottomless pit. In the end, most of these costs were passed on to food prices, making Saudi Arabia's own crops completely uncompetitive in the international market. Finally, in 2016, the Saudi government ordered a complete ban on the cultivation of many crops and instead relied entirely on imported food, returning to the old path of oil for food. However, Saudi Arabia has not given up on the development of agriculture, because in the past decade, they have been seeking agricultural cooperation with China, hoping to use China's technology and experience to complete an unprecedented agricultural revolution. In July 2023, a consortium jointly formed by China Power Corporation and Saudi Arabia's Wedeco Company successfully signed a contract with Saudi International Power and Water Company for the fourth phase of the Rabbi desalination project, with a total investment of up to $800 million. As far as I know, the project is located in Rabbi, on the southwestern coast of Saudi Arabia. It is scheduled to start construction in December 2024 and is expected to be completed and put into operation around 2026. After the project is completed, it is expected to produce 600,000 cubic meters of fresh water per day, and the water supply area will cover Mecca and Medina. From the current progress, a total of 42 dual media pressure filters are neatly arranged in 2 rows on site, each with a capacity of up to 1,100 cubic meters. The steel structure reverse osmosis plant is magnificent, with a total construction area of nearly 12,000 square meters, and 8 water storage facilities with a diameter of 100 meters and a height of 19 meters have also been completed one after another. At that time, the Saudi side was very satisfied with China's construction progress and publicly praised China's infrastructure capabilities in the media. On May 13th this year, in order to further the cooperation with China, Saudi Arabia signed an agricultural cooperation agreement worth more than $4 billion of the China-Saudi Arabia Agricultural Industry and Sustainable Development Forum. As far as I know, the content of the cooperation agreement exceeds 70, including desert agricultural development, deep processing of agricultural products, smart agricultural research and development, and other fields. But as we said before, Saudi Arabia has no natural rivers with water all year round and is extremely short of arable land. It is almost considered an agricultural forbidden zone. So the question is, does China really have the ability to help Saudi Arabia solve the problem of desert agriculture? In fact, developing agriculture in China's deserts is not new. On the edge of the Maowisid Desert, Taklamakan Desert, and other large deserts, Chinese teams have long relied on a series of black technologies to turn the originally uninhabited sand into an oasis granary. 98% of the land in Megadi County, Xinjiang, China is covered by deserts, with annual precipitation of less than 42 millimeters and annual evaporation of up to 2,349 millimeters. But in such an extreme environment, Chinese farmers actually grew rice in the desert as early as 2011. In order to achieve this goal, the Chinese scientific research team developed a number of innovative technologies. The most critical one is the sand converter, a polymer material that can bond loose sand particles into a mass, increasing the water retention capacity by 6 times. After spraying, the sand instantly turned into a sponge field, and the roots of wheat can penetrate 1 meter deep into the ground. In order to solve the drip irrigation of crops, the Chinese team adopted underground drip irrigation technology, reducing 90% of the water evaporation loss to only 5%. The PE pipes buried underground are like capillaries in the human body, accurately transporting snow water from the Kunlun Mountains to the roots of each wheat seedling. By 2023, this advanced technology will be further upgraded in the 6,000-acre test field, and a satellite remote sensing monitoring system will be fully introduced. The AI system can warn of pests and diseases or insufficient water 3 days in advance and achieve precise management. Interestingly, the vegetation coverage rate of these sandy lands where wheat was planted increased from 0 to 80%, the wind speed decreased by 50%, and the soil organic matter content tripled. Then, in April 2024, the research team of the Chinese Academy of Agricultural Sciences successfully planted rapid breeding rice for the first time in the desert greenhouse in Hotan, Xinjiang. As far as I know, this trial planting uses 3-layer cultivation racks in the greenhouse, which only occupies 1 acre of land and takes only 2 months from planting to harvesting. After the experts measured the yield per moo was as high as 1,051.5 kilograms. At present, China's scientific research team is also exploring the rapid breeding technology of major food crops such as soybeans, corn, wheat and rapeseed, cotton, alfalfa, etc. in the greenhouse of the Hotan Desert. These successful cases of growing rice in the desert fully prove that China has the ability to help Saudi Arabia develop desert agriculture. But the problem is that Saudi Arabia's geographical location is completely different from that of China. So, can this method really be replicated by Saudi Arabia? As mentioned earlier, China has built several seawater desalination projects for Saudi Arabia before, the most representative of which is the Rabbi Phase 4 seawater desalination project. The project uses the world's largest reverse osmosis seawater desalination technology. The electricity consumption per ton of fresh water is only 2.78 kilowatt hours, which is equivalent to a cost of about 2.3 yuan. It can be called a high-efficiency model in the field of global seawater desalination. After the project is completed, it is expected to produce 600,000 tons of fresh water per day, enough to meet the daily water needs of more than 2 million households. At the same time, it will also significantly reduce coal use and carbon dioxide emissions, which will help promote Saudi Arabia's green energy transformation. In the field of drip irrigation, China can also teach Saudi Arabia mature and advanced water-saving irrigation technology, which can accurately control every drop of water and save up to 90%. Taking each acre of cultivated land as an example, the annual water saving can reach 200 cubic meters. When used in conjunction with soil sensors, the irrigation water per acre is sharply reduced from the original 600 tons to only 180 tons. What's more intelligent is that the built-in pressure sensor in the drip irrigation head can detect pipe blockage problems 15% earlier than experienced farmers, greatly improving operation and maintenance efficiency. In addition to its technical advantages in water resources, China's sand-to-soil technology is also what Saudi Arabia needs most at present. This technology mixes plant fiber adhesive with sand and adds an appropriate amount of water. In just about 2 minutes, the sand can be transformed into dark brown, sticky soil. Even if water is poured on its surface, it will not leak or flow, and it will not fall apart with a pinch. At the same time, this additive does not contain any toxic or harmful substances and is environmentally friendly and sustainable. Of course, in the smart agriculture pilot area, unmanned rice transplanters, seed drills, and other high-tech equipment use the beta navigation system for precise operations, and the overall production efficiency has increased by more than 30%. At the same time, with the help of smart devices to monitor the status of soil and crops in real time, precise irrigation and quantitative fertilization can be achieved, effectively reducing resource waste. Perhaps in the future, special varieties of rice, wheat, tomatoes, and other crops will be able to adapt to the extremely dry climate environment like Saudi Arabia. In fact, in the Middle East, China has provided advanced agricultural technology support to many countries. Take Dubai as an example. The temperature in this country often exceeds 50 degrees Celsius, and the desert area is even more scorching. In theory, it is almost impossible to grow rice under such extremely harsh natural conditions in Dubai. However, the Chinese scientific research team has mastered a desert saline alkali land improvement technology called four-dimensional improvement method. Through this technology, it only takes 2 to 3 years to transform saline alkali land into fertile land suitable for rice cultivation. In 2018, China's Yuan Longping team successfully planted sea rice in Dubai, breaking this forbidden zone. What's more exciting is that its yield exceeds the world average, with the highest yield per mu exceeding 500 kilograms, and the Dubai Sheikh is full of praise for it. It is worth mentioning that this is also the first time in human history that rice has been successfully planted in a tropical desert area. So, do you think China has helped Saudi Arabia complete an unprecedented desert agricultural revolution? To not miss out on our future projects and news updates, please make sure you subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications. We will continue to provide you with more exciting and interesting content.